Suck it now. Ha ha. Hell yeah. I know my dogs are watching. And if you ain't, I know you will be. And I know if you are watching and you ain't my dog yet, you will be. Hey guys, I want to say thank you very much for tuning in. It means the world to me that you're here, even if you ain't here yet. All right. What I want to do, I want to bring my lovely, dazzling D Rex, Diana Eckstein, into the room, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Diana, for coming.
Hello there.
Welcome back to the Get Busy Livin podcast.
I'm always happy to be here. This is going to be
yeah.
a really fun podcast. I already see a few people here. Make sure you say hi in the comments. We love to hear from you. We love to see who's here. Otherwise, we don't know who you are. So pop up and say hi because we want to say hi to you. And we also want to make your comments part of the conversation. So make sure that you are chiming in because we'll put you up on screen and we'll talk about what you're talking about. It's going to be a lot of fun, as it always is. Eventually, we're going to be asking some people to join us in the studio from their phones. That's going to be a very interesting development that Swede is wanting to let you know about, and I am unsure about. But I think it's all going to be an adventure. Everything's live. It's always live. It's always unknown.
That's how I like to roll. Yeah. So I kind of sprung that on D Rex at the last minute, and if you guys haven't been able to pick up on this yet. I'm swirling chaos, and she is an organized machine. And together, we're going to make the Get Busy Livin podcast your favorite show every week. So, all bullshit aside, what we want you to do is chat us up in the chat box. So, we're going to take turns making sure that I keep track of who my people are that's with me. And what she's been talking about by the eventually we'll be able to bring you on screen is right now we want to get to a very special guest, y'all. But in the future, there's going to be times where you're going to be our very special guest. And the people that arrive in the chat boxes, we're going to be able to send you an invite and then welcome you on through your phone right onto the screen with us. And you guys know I like to throw a party. And that's how I'm imagining us having a little bit of a virtual party. All right. So that's what she's getting at. Now, today's episode, guys, I'm so excited about today's episode because it is a opportunity to talk about a theme that I've been preaching to people for years and years and years. And the deliberate living is what we're calling it. And it's all about, we want you to get busy living, but we want you to know that it's not like just it happens to you. Life comes at you like a stream flowing downstream, and awesome things don't just float downstream to you. You got to make conscious decisions to go out there and get busy living intentionally and deliberately. And so, do you understand what I'm getting at? Can I get a hell yeah? Where's my hell yeahs in the comments? So before I get to the guest introduction, though, I want to take a minute to tell you guys about the HSWA that does sponsor this podcast and is the reason that I am here today. And so basically the transparency that I want to come at you with is so that you know that I am a result of your generosity, and my goal is to give you an opportunity to continue to be generous and know that the generosity that you're putting forth is going into a good cause. And the good cause is that we talked about in this podcast, as far as helping 10 other people the way that you guys have helped me. And the cause of helping you guys get busy living, and eventually want to be able to get you guys on the trips with us that we go on once a month. And then also, obviously, we have some of my own personal goals that we want to work out. And so we're always going to keep you up to date on how we're doing with the funds. I've talked to my nonprofit consultant yesterday about our accounting and transparency and such. And right now, between now and New Year's, we're kind of like getting, you could call this the preseason with the podcast and learning how to do all this stuff. But once the season kicks off in January, the goal is to have a very clear way of communicating to you guys our progress, which is your progress. Now, just so you know what I mean by transparency, we're going to be generating monies with the HSWA, obviously through the advertising that this podcast makes possible. So your viewership counts. Then we'll eventually want to be able to get into the point where our community is helping each other by sponsoring this podcast and then patronizing each other through the sponsorships. But when we're doing these monthly trips, we're going to be going on all these vacations. And so we want you guys to have the t-shirt since you're going to be there with us. So we'll get some merchandise in your hands, and that will be another way of generating revenues. And then obviously the donations that you guys have already shown that you're fully capable and ready and willing to help us with. All those things are going to be ways for you to participate. So before I introduce this week's guest, I want to let you guys know that Next week, I've got somebody very special to me. You guys know that Scooty Wells helped me escape Bali, and JFT and Scooty Wells helped me escape Malaysia. But there's somebody that was just as paramount in my sanity is the person that helped me escape those facilities. That period of my life when I was in a nursing facility was horrific, and this person was single-handedly helped me get out of there. So come back next week so I can introduce you to my girl Kelly. She's going to teach you guys really what good Bizzy Livin means on her level. And we want this to be a very relatable show.
Absolutely. I can't wait to talk to her. I would like to bring up your personal project that is starting soon. It's
Yes.
the vegan challenge. Do you want to tell people a little bit about this? Who, if they didn't see it last week, you might want to give them a little recap of what's happening.
Just a quick recap, guys. You guys know that I'm on a seriously relentless mission to save myself, and I'm going to try to get my body right. And so I'm going to do something for myself. I'm bringing my school and my science and myself together, and I'm doing we're calling it a vegan challenge. I've been vegan before. I've been very strict, but in 30 days leading up to Thanksgiving, I'm going to go raw vegan for 30 days. I'm going to be doing through the projects I have at school. I'm going to be tracking my body composition, tracking the food preparation, and then putting together a presentation for you guys, the audience. I'm going to have Kelly on next week. She's going to talk a little bit more about what veganism means to her and what it's done for her. And hopefully, if you guys want to join in and just to be a part of something, I mean, I am willing and prepared to do this alone because it's my school, it's my body, it's my health. But I feel like inviting you guys to join along because I know the health impacts it can have. So just come back next week and you'll get more information about the vegan challenge.
And if anybody wants to join in on this vegan challenge, shoot us an email or just say so in the comments. But I think it's going to be a really fun project. People working on their health together. I mean, for me, that's a good time. That's a really good time. So I want you guys to go and get on our email list. This is how you get a hold of us. You get on this email list at getbuzylivin.com. Also, the comments that's the best way to get a hold of us because we're right here. We're right here, right now. Jump in the comments.
Right here, right now. I want to get a shout out to DRH. So much love for you, girl. Seriously, Brian Borello, the original horseman. Got a big shout out to you. B.I.Z. Robert Bizzy Burns, D Rex. Remember Bizzy Burns, the baddest dude in EPA. My boy Schwoy Boy is in town. Schwoy Boy, what up? Lawrence, DRH. You guys are supposed to be joining me out here soon. When am I going to get some love from y'all? You owe me, Lawrence. You owe me, man. You owe me a hug, bro. Come on, come at me. All right. So look, guys, we really want you to make sure that you first of all, a lot of you guys know each other. In fact, I think just about every one of you guys I just mentioned there, other than maybe my people from Erie, you guys have met each other at one point.
Wait, did you just say Erie?
EPA, Erie Pride, baby, Erie Pride. So yeah, so not only can you obviously, you guys know each other. So, by all means, make it a party in the chat house. And we want to be able to make sure that you guys feel like you're a part of the show. When we have guests, which I can't wait to introduce this guy, but when we have guests, man, we want you guys to feel like you're a part of the show, just like the guests are. So there's going to come a point when that's the way we execute properly. But we got so much to get out, especially with this guy today. So, I mean, Diana, I know that you just met Jerry, and I could probably let you introduce him, and you probably have some nice things to say. And I know your voice is much more beautiful than mine. But what I got to say about this guy, I mean, everybody knows about Scooty Wells being there. Showed up, quit his job, and came overnight. Pretty much sent his girlfriend off to meet his parents for the first time during the holidays. And Scooty Wells' sacrifice was tremendous. But what JFT did was equally tremendous because he was on a different part of the planet from home, and luckily, he had the means because of what he's going to talk to you about today to be able to show up and be just as much of a key in the cog as Scooty Wells was as far as making sure that I made it out of that hospital alive. So, guys, I'm going to bring Jerry to your attention. He's an entrepreneur. He's a successful real estate investor. He's a world traveler. He's as outrageous as I've ever wanted to be. He's my man. Please put your hands together for the JFT.
Hey, Jerry.
Hi, guys.
Where are you?
where are we based? Santiago, Chile. I'm sitting in a small hotel room in Santiago, Chile. That's why you have this bland wall behind me.
That's all right. We're not here for the wall.
Well, that was exciting, Swede. I don't know if I don't think I heard you say that, but Carolina and I join you to a bit more limited degree in your vegan challenge. I had my blood work done, so I A1C and my cholesterol, my triglycerides. I know what all that stuff is now. So last night
that's the thing. You don't have to join 100%. You could join as much as you want, right?
Absolutely. You're not putting yourself in food jail.
Swede's doing raw vegan. I'm going to try and do vegan, but I know I'm going to mix in there and some eggs. But I have been making better choices. Even last night when I had a little bit of fun going on, I still managed to order the vegan pizza.
Good for you. So you already started your vegan challenge. I think that it's officially starting at the end of October. What's the date on that?
October 25th.
Okay. So we'll be talking more about that, but I'd like to introduce you properly as you are an entrepreneur, but you're actually now retired and you're traveling the world, which sounds amazing. Is it as amazing as it sounds?
It's pretty amazing. Chile is my 48th country.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That is seriously awesome.
But this hasn't always been your life. You haven't always been traveling the world. It sounds like you've had a pretty big journey, but let's clue people into like where you're from and what your upbringing was like. Where are you from?
Well, I was born in Michigan, but grew up in Georgia. And then, I don't know, maybe about 13 years ago, moved to Florida when I started feeling like I might be getting towards selling the company. It was going to be a substantial amount of money. So moving to Florida eliminated a state income tax. So I went ahead and moved on to Florida. But you're a little bit wrong about the traveling part. I actually was semi-retired for 10 years prior to fully retired. And then I had a philosophy of spend half, save half. So I was doing a whole lot of trips during that 10-year.
You need to back up, buddy. You need to back up because there's too much here. There's too much in that story. Tell us what it was like when you grew up. Did you come from a rich family? Were you handed this?
No. My father worked for the railroad, and then we transferred to Atlanta. I think I was 7 years old, maybe, when we moved to Georgia. And he started working for Delta Airlines, and just an average, middle-class guy with middle-class stuff, occasionally a bass boat, occasionally a sports car. But no, we weren't for money. Mom had 3 boys and she had to clip coupons and
interesting. Were you first, second, or third boy?
I was the oldest.
Okay. And then I understand that you were also headed toward a military career, even in high school. You were in ROTC?
Yeah. I was the first junior to commander. Normally that position is reserved for a senior, and then as a senior.
Look at this responsible young man. Do you know that both Swede and I were actively rejected by the military? I don't even think my friends know that I tried to join the Army in high school. And they said, nope. I think maybe, when I told you that the other day, Swede, that might have been maybe the first time I've really mentioned it since high school.
I think I gasped. I was like, what?
Well, I didn't know that. There's a whole lot of rejection going on in this forum then, because they offered me a full boat ride and I told them no.
Oh man! What are you trying to say, Jerry? Shit rolls downhill. I don't get it.
I don't think we belong to the same club here. I don't think that you're in our club. You can sit with us, but you're not in our club.
Hey, y'all are the cool kids. That's where I gotta be.
Yeah,
it's funny because. Oh, go ahead. You go ahead.
No,
first.
I was going to say I was telling Diana the story about the cool kids when we were doing the show notes earlier this week about meeting Jay Brown and Mez and Fatty on the way to school. and I thought they were going to beat me up. And I was telling Diane, I was like, I was clenching my fist. I saw them talking about me, and I could tell they were talking about me. And when they turned around, I just kept walking because I was like, if they do something, I'm hitting Mez first. And she was like, "What?" I was like, "Because he probably could only take one." And I was like, and then maybe Jay Brown might not want to fight. And then I was like, Fatty's beat me up either way, so I was going to try to take out at least one of them on the way down. And instead of trying to fight me, Jay Brown was like, "Hey man, your name's Swede, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Bro, you walk to school the same way as we do all the time. How come you just walk with us? Like, we play football together. You too good to walk with us?" And I was like the totally opposite end of how I thought it was going to go down, man. So shout out to Jay Brown, man. That's the original player. He like seriously, yeah. Mez and Matt was like, "I don't want to hang out with this nerd." And Jay Brown was like, "No, he cool.
So can I mention that like Swede thought he was going to go into the Air Force, and then eventually they were like, "Nope." And then I thought I was going to join the Army, and they were like, "Nope." And for people of our background, the military sounds like a really good, steady path. Like there's actual adults guiding you through like a responsible lifestyle and career. You're going to get somewhere in life. So when we were rejected from that, we didn't really know what was the next step. That totally blindsided us. But you had a different experience where they offered you everything and you said nope. So tell us about that.
Well, when I started the process in high school in Air Force ROTC, I loved it, and I loved the idea of going into the military and the free college opportunities and things of that nature. But as I got older and matured a little bit, I realized it wasn't really for me. I don't really like other people telling me what to do. And
so can you imagine Swede in the military?
Swede has a super high IQ, so he would have adapted and adjusted, but he probably wouldn't have had a lot of fun doing
it. Well, that's another podcast story. I can't wait to play these highlights at the future podcast when I tell you that one. I tried to join out of it. So, Diana was saying how we got rejected. When I was in the 10th grade, is when I was telling her I was still a good student at that point in my life. And the Air Force or they came in, the military came in and gave us all ASVABs. And then when they came back to give us our scores, they told me that I scored high enough I could pretty much do what I want in the Air Force or in the military. And he was like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm good at art and I'm good at math, maybe an engineer or something like that." And they were like, "Oh, you can be that in the Air Force, man." And I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, you ever want to have a wife and kids?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, we'll pay for that too. And you can travel around the world. You don't have to worry about going to college, man. We'll teach you how to be an engineer." And I was like, "Really?" And I don't think I went to school. I think from that point on, I was there less than half the time. But, I was like, I don't have to get a scholarship to be successful in life. I can just jack off and join the Air Force after I get out of high school. And I did. I pissed high school all the way away. And they did not accept me.
I can vouch for that. I can vouch for that.
You saw me pee?
No, but I saw you piss it all away. That's today's.
Didn't even know. Damn.
You didn't even know that was a thing.
Shit, this is a fun fact.
Anyhow. You got rejected because you were riffraff. I got rejected because I had asthma, and I want to make that clear. I'm not riffraff.
So I had a criminal record. I wasn't riffraff. I just, I was hard to tell what to do. That's all.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, Jerry.
Look at what Tasha. You probably pissed many of them off too.
Yeah, it's true. So we interrupted Jerry. Jerry decided at some point that the military wasn't going to work for him, and you didn't get to expand on that. So go ahead.
Yeah, so everybody was pretty pissed off about that choice, actually, except for my mom. And she asked me, "Okay, what's your plan?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to go sell cars." And she was shocked. She's like, "You're going to do what?" I said, "I'm going to go sell cars."
What made you choose cars?
Yeah, she said, "Why in the hell would you do that? Everybody hates car salesmen." I said, "That's exactly why, because I want to own my own business. I want to be my own person, make my own way, and everything is sales. So if I'm going to learn to be a professional salesperson, I'm going to do it where it's the hardest, which is cars." because everybody hates car salesmen. And I did that for a couple of years, was very successful, and I've started some companies along the way, and finally, found the one that worked for me.
I'm going to get
That's
you a
awesome.
T-shirt that says "Everyone hates car salesmen."
I got to tell you though, think about this, y'all. Look, there's an audience of people out there that don't believe that they can get busy living. There's an audience of people out there that think that it's a lifestyle that only happens on TV. What we're showing here, folks, is that this man came from a very modest and average American family. Jerry, is that accurate? I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say much more about your family. I got in trouble there before, but and because of your choices, right? Because of your choices, you passed up, golden tickets in some ways, but you made choices about what you wanted to do because you had a bigger picture in your head, right? Is it safe to say that you knew that you wanted bigger things and that you were just kind of, sparsing out till you found the one that was going to get you there?
I wrote in my high school yearbook that I would retire by 45. And, had I taken the scholarship, I would have ended up in the military for 20 years because and after 5 or 6 year commitment, and then, you can't walk away from that. You only need 14 more for your pension. And I said, yeah, I'll be 42, but I can do it myself anyway by 45 and not have to, live 20 years with other people telling me what to do. So yeah, I was confident in myself, and my mom was confident in me. And she said,
"Well, that's great.
You've reasoned this out
and supportive mom."
Yeah.
That's important.
I want to elaborate on that real quick because to me, the idea of having a limit on my freedom drives me insane. But at the time when I was choosing the Air Force, I chose it because of the picture they painted, and the truth is that the picture they paint is quite an amazing picture. And there's so many of most of my amazing friends, not most of my amazing friends, but most of my friends who are in the military are among my amazing friends. These people, thank you for your service to every single one of my dogs out there that have been helping us on that regard, because it's a successful career to a lot of people. And it makes them, it adds to their life what they need. Just like I need more structure in this podcast, So even though I might not desire all the things that you have to sacrifice in order to get what the military forces you to sacrifice, for some people, it's an even trade-off, and like for Jay Brown's a perfect example. He's been extremely successful in the military, and
I've seen quite a few of our classmates become very successful with the military, and that's the kind of thing I was hoping for myself. That kind of guidance and help along the way. And it's not an easy life, that's for sure. You're not choosing an easy life, but boy, it can get you somewhere good.
Yeah, for sure. It can give you a boost, give you the structure, especially, when you come out of the neighborhood we came out of, when there wasn't very much structure and there wasn't very many boosts.
And there weren't many adults that could tell you what to do next.
Amen. Most of the kids I grew up around, thank God for Cheryl Connor, because she raised half of the kids that I grew up around in that city during high school years, for sure. Shout out, Cheryl, love you. That's Fatty's mom.
So I want to know, Jerry, how you learned about doing sales. Where do you get your information? Where did this come from?
I knew that they would teach me at Ford, and so I went and studied their classes and took it seriously, and then picked a salesperson who worked at the dealership who was far head and tails above everyone else in his ability, and I watched what he did, and I just made his plan a little bit better for me and started executing it. And year 2, I was in the top 5% of Ford Motor Company salespeople.
I would like to point out how important it is to educate yourself and not wait for other people to do it. I have a cricket in here. Sorry, guys, if you hear a cricket.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
But it's super important that you take your education into your own hands. As Swede is doing right now, where you're studying nutrition, where you want to heal yourself. And you said, forget this. I can't wait for somebody else to tell me how to do this. I got to figure it out.
Well, that's right.
That's
a lot of people think of having
ideas
but not having a plan. And so what I like to tell people is you just write a capital T. It's called Benjamin Franklin close. Write all the pros on the left side and all the cons on the right side. And then see if you can make all the cons go away. Can you overcome each of those challenges? Mm-hmm. And if you can overcome enough of them, and there's no deal killer in there, then maybe you can make a plan to fit that objective. But so few people actually do that. You've got to take the time to sort out if your idea is feasible.
And all of that is very good information, but I want to just back up a second. And, we're telling people like, you have to do this and this and this. And I know that a lot of people are thinking, yeah, I would like to do that, but I don't have any time. And this is not something I planned on asking you, but something I really want to know. How did you find extra time in your life to build your education and your skill set so you could move forward in the way you wanted to?
Well, once you have chosen a path, then you have to make a plan to facilitate making it happen. And so if the plan is you read this book and read that book and study closing techniques and develop a customer tracking program so that you can remember to call every customer at 3 days, 7 days, 30 days, 60 days, and every 3 months after that. And you need to remember that this person's wife went in the hospital and this person's grandma got out of the hospital. And
it's legit.
And if that's what you got to do, that's what you do.
Yep.
But where did you find the time? Where did you find your extra time to make all this happen?
Well, the teaching myself auto sales, I just, did it on my shift, sitting there where the other guys were outside drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes. Mm-hmm. I'd be in there figuring out what the next move was and how to execute it, and then executing it. I'd sit in there and make those calls in the morning while they were out there doing it. There's
you
always
made a choice. You made a choice to go do that when you could have been just hanging out. And I got to say, there's something I would like to say to anybody who's thinking about making big changes in their life and choices like you did, and finding free time, is that TV is a huge time suck. You could probably take an hour out of your day there and just reclaim it. But what I have found to be very helpful is to, instead of plan your hours out that you're going to work, plan out what hours in the day you have free time. And then so you can see on the calendar when you actually have time to do things.
To get busy living.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can make these changes. You're not a superhero, right? I mean, you're a very smart guy, but you're not some kind of superhero that has created things out of nothing. You're a human being that made choices to carve time out and make changes.
Yeah, I didn't invent anything. Just like every doctor you go see, they're just reading the same books as the guy who came before them. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of having a plan that will make your objectives happen, that works for you, and figuring out how to do it the most efficient way possible. I mean, you can do things the slow and the hard way. Like you can cut the grass first and then weed eat, but then you got to go back and rake up all the weeds. Or you can weed eat first and then run all the weeds over with the lawnmower while you're cutting the grass. So I always looked for the efficiencies. How can I do this faster, better, and achieve the objective? And that's how I ran my life. I still do today. I get annoyed if somebody picks up my pen and moves it 3 feet away on the table because I'm not going to find it. I said this right here. Where is it?
Your efficiency master.
My girl Jay here, shout out. It's been very, very key in me retaining sanity here in the area. Is just chiming in and kind of concurring with what you're saying.
Hi, Jay.
It's about your attitude. Speaking of that and the education part, I had a bachelor's degree that I got in my 20s, but I didn't use that education for money at all. But what I did use for money is the education I got from the personal development, from people that I'd met that were not people that I would have met if I had stayed on Cherry Street. I promise you that. But in being out and being aggressive and trying to rub elbows with the right people, and the people that had what I wanted, I would try to meet them. And they led me down this path of personal development, where I started reading the books that made a difference in my life. If there's anybody that wants to learn how to get busy living, and you haven't read a single book yet, read Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's easy to read because it's a story, but it teaches you a little bit about money, from the perspective of a child that was never taught about money compared to a child that has parents that teach about money. It's an awesome book, and it set me free, man. It like seriously opened my mind up to being able to learn how to be successful in life. Before that, man, I thought I just had to get a good job,
You know what? Speaking of, go ahead, Jerry.
Sorry about that, Diana. Here's one of my favorites. Who Moved My Cheese? It's about a 10, 15-minute read, so it's super quick, but it basically makes you understand how to do that, how to choose the books, how to move forward, how to change what you don't like about your life.
Yeah,
I want to. Oh no! Now you can chime in, because I have something to say about reading materials, and I'm sure that you have something interesting to say.
No, the only thing I was going to say is that the Who Moved My Cheese is a quick read, but it'll blow your mind. I mean, it's like so simple, and that's the thing, is that it isn't complex. It is simple. Just instead of spending 9 to 5 making your bread and butter money and then coming home and sitting on your ass and watching TV. I heard it was said to me in my personal development years when I really started, and I've never stopped. Personal development doesn't stop once you get it in your blood, man. You're addicted pretty much. But they said that you make your bread and butter money from 9 to 5, but you make your serious dough and real cheese from 5 to 9. So you come home from work, and when you got done with a job where you are coming to work in a labor cost to a business owner, where their goal is to get as much out of you and pay you as little as possible, and you come home from that and get your money, but then you use that time from 5 to 9 to plot on how you can be the one that has employees as a business expense and is the one making the money. It's like you got to flip that coin. That's
exactly right. I actually hated working, and that was my objective for wanting to retire at 45.
You're preaching to the choir, bro.
So I said, you know what? While I'm young and I have all this energy, I'd better get it done so that I really can't stop when I'm 45. And there were weeks I worked 100 hours a week when I was 20 years old, 21 years old, and that's what it takes. If you're not, like Swede, it's crazy to me that you got one college degree. You already did that 4 years worth of bullshit, and now you're doing it again a second time. Like, I would just die. I had to do that.
There are people out there that are looking at college like it's their meal ticket, and like that's where they're going to learn how to make more money. And there are people out there that are looking at college like they're only doing it for their parents. I'm doing college. The first time I did it was because I had a job offer, and they said that I needed a degree in order to get this job. So here I go. But the second time I'm doing it is because I'm trying to figure out how to fix myself. I'm not in it for the accolades. I'm in it for the information.
I suppose that's a whole different type of motivation that maybe gives you a little more energy.
I'm in no lacking in energy, bro.
You are not. You are not.
So can I go back to reading material for a second? Because we were talking about the books that you guys were recommending, but part of your story, Jerry, is that I guess something you read in a magazine kind of changed your path at some point.
Yeah, I had
changed your path. Cyrus says I've had 39 different jobs.
Yeah. That guy's had a lot of paths. He's had 39 paths.
Yeah. I think we might have to ask Cyrus this question. I was an independent exclusive insurance agent for a decent sized regional company. And after 3 years of doing it, I realized it was not going to get me where I wanted to be. The industry had changed. You just couldn't make that much money. And I was sitting in my office reading a magazine, and there was a 4 or 5 or 6 page full color article about a crime scene cleanup business. And as I read that article and understand it is very weird. It is definitely weird. But they gave away a lot of information in that article, and I could just see it all fall into place. And I was like, that's it. That's the one that's going to make me rich. And so I studied the business for 90 days, learned what I needed to do. And then I didn't even try and sell my agency. I just closed the doors.
You know, we need to stop and talk about this, because just the idea of like, okay, I want to get into crime scene cleanup. Like that's not a thought that's ever occurred to me like that. And what will never occur to me, that will never appear in my brain. And you found it palatable. And I mean, the first thing I would think of is, how do you find people who want to work in that?
Oh, you should have saw JFT telling the people in the hospital about how to do proper hygiene or sanitation. Oh my God, he was like a drill sergeant in that hospital, man. Because I was so vulnerable. My immune system was like completely eradicated, and Jerry and Scott had to like gear up in anti-hazmat gear every time they want to come in my room, and somebody would try to come by and they try to like walk in, like they come in 3 feet in the door, and Jerry be up having them motherfucking snapping at attention. Like, I didn't see you watch your hand. He's telling them how different chemicals work better at different temperatures and why that. You're like, he's like, you're using that to try to do this, like using sandpaper to try to paint a car with it. It's like, poor girls don't even speak English.
I'm sure everybody at that hospital thought I was insane, because every time they'd come in and disinfect the room, I'd go back and do it behind them, because they did it all wrong. Every single time. They do it all wrong, and I'd go in and redo it.
Dude, like a white glove inspector.
Yeah, I got tired of trying to teach them and trying to fight with them about doing it right, so I just did it myself.
So, I mean, I get kind of like the heebie-jeebies just thinking about this business. Like, were you interested in anything medical or just like, where did this come from? Like that you thought this was?
No.
My mind is like.
I really enjoy helping others. That's one thing, but the bottom line is, how do I make as much money as possible, as quickly as possible? I was trying to get rich, and I was trying to do it as fast as possible. And I saw, when I read that article, I saw all the boxes checked off. Okay. I was like, this is it right here. And so that's why I didn't care about heebie-jeebies. I didn't care about
so give the audience an idea. I'm imagining Russell Crowe in A Beautiful Mind, like all the numbers floating up in space, and I can imagine Jerry's like Scrooge McDuck. He just sees a bunch of like dollar signs in the air. But think about lay it out there, just because look, I we're in the early stages of this podcast, but there's a message that's going to get sent, so that when you are somebody that's seen all these podcasts, you will have the right mindset to be able to get busy living. So when you're looking at this opportunity, how did you know that it was going to be able to make you rich? I mean, was there numbers involved? Was it logic? I mean, was it like, kind of like insider trading? Did you know that you needed to buy high because something was about to happen? I don't know. Like, that's like crime scene investigation. Like Diana said, it's not even an occupation that we even ever thought that existed.
That's not for everybody.
No, that's a great question, actually. No, the fact is that the crime scene cleanup company was about my 10th or 12th business. So
shit, you only got 27 to go before you catch up to Cyrus.
I know, right? So I'd spent 3 years running the insurance company, and I had done several other projects along the way, and so I had a pretty good basic, foundational experience level. I understood a P&L. I understood margins. I understood what you had to spend money on. I understood that, just because you're making $100 an hour doesn't mean, just because you're charging $100 an hour doesn't mean you're making really only be making $23 an hour. And so I understood all those things. And so as they were talking in the article, I was filling in the spreadsheet up here and going, holy shit. This is the kind of numbers I need to be working with. And believe it or not, being an insurance agent gave me probably my strongest tool for that business, because you're dealing with someone's car insurance when they were in a car accident, there's blood all over the inside of the car, or their homeowner's insurance when a burglar broke in and cut himself and bled all over the house, or things of that nature. You're dealing with insurance policies and insurance companies, and I knew very, very well how they worked. So
interesting. So your
so where a
many
lot of
jobs
people-
gave you a lot of different viewpoints to work from.
Yes, and unfortunately for a lot of people in the industry, they didn't have an insurance background and they didn't know how insurance adjusters work, and so they weren't able to have an adjuster might tell me, I'm not paying your $10,000 invoice, I'm going to give you 4, and I knew what to say to them. I knew how to get my 10. Whereas someone else, they got a $900 truck payment to do, and so they panic and they take 40%, of what their invoice was. But I knew how to avoid that, and so it helped me a lot in that particular industry.
Did you actually go to the crime scenes?
The first year I went to every job.
Okay.
You can't really run a business if you don't know how to do shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
So I went to every single job.
Did you do any of the cleaning?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to figure out the methodology.
If you see him in the hospital, he done the cleaning.
Yeah,
well,
I had to figure out the methodologies and the efficiencies and what products worked and what didn't. And odor is a huge part of the job, because a woman's not going to go back into a building that has odors, especially human decomposition. And so I had to become an expert, and the only way to do that is to be there and do it.
I'm very interested in this conversation and at the same time completely repulsed. This is not
okay, so there
you
got busy living with it though, like how that's a success story, and there's so many of them around the world. Think about how much money there is and how many people are just out there, being successful in this environment. We're all competing, but we're all in this together, and there's the opportunities are out there. You just have to be wanting them. It's just desire, and once you have the desire, then be deliberate about what you do with your time so that you can have what you want. It's not going to come to you. That's the biggest message, is that, it doesn't just, people, I mean, there are people that get lucky, but this audience, none of those people are watching.
Attitude is everything, but you got to have a plan and you got to execute the plan.
And you have to understand that sometimes there's a few things you don't want to do, but you just got to get them done. And that's how you get the rewards. The people who aren't willing to do that don't get the rewards. You absolutely have to do a few unpalatable things, like clean up blood at a crime scene. Or for me, it's do my taxes. There's a few things that aren't fun.
Diana, I hated English in high school, but I knew that if I couldn't speak and write well, I would never be successful and never meet my objectives. So I made sure I learned how to write properly and speak well.
That's so important, learning how to write correctly. This is a world where we're all typing to each other, and you can see in an instant who worked at it and who didn't.
Do what you got to do so you can do what you want to do.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, I like to think of it as kind of hard choices now, easy life later,
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, and speaking of getting busy living, after that first year, I was able to start scaling back and my time and efforts. And by the fourth year in, I had hired someone to be my full-time operations manager, and I only worked 5 to 15 hours a week. I had reports that she would send me, and I could read those P&Ls and I could read those call logs, and I could go, hey, something's going on right here. What's this? Oh, hey, this number's not right. What's going on here? Oh yeah, we had to put a motor in that truck, Jerry. I remember. And oh yeah, okay, I remember. And then, I was able to run the whole business, or to give her the guidance to run the whole business, just based off of certain data points that I needed. And that allowed me to start traveling. And so the 48 countries I've been in, I was actually in quite a few of those during that 10 years where I worked 5 to 15 hours a week.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, how long from beginning to end did you have this crime scene business?
12 and a half years. 12 and a half years.
And during that time, did you enjoy it, or were you just seeing the end game?
I thought you were going to say, did you ever throw up from seeing blood?
I'm about to throw up right now.
Diana. Oh, Lord.
I really am. I'm feeling a little barfy, but go on.
I can promise you I've seen the most disgusting things humans are capable of, whether it's crime scene or just, death in general, or even
Jerry, can you describe it in detail? Maybe we can get Diana if we can get D Rex to throw up on camera, man, that shit'll go viral.
I will leave
that
the
would
room.
Probably go viral. Yeah, we'd have 1 million viewers tomorrow. We even did a lot of hoarder stuff, which it's hard to get more disgusting than that. But
what's the worst hoarder situation you saw?
Worst? That's like an impossible question.
I'm willing to barf for this.
All right.
Come on, Jerry, swing for the fences.
a guy that would and drink so much that he would just urinate and defecate all over himself, not get up, no power in the house, no electricity. And we walked in that room, and I'm telling you, it was a mountain of beer cans. Like, I don't even know how they found his body, because he died in there. And he
I'm
fell
sure
into
it was the smell that cued people in.
He fell into the cans. Like, you couldn't even see him. He was buried under a mountain of his own beer cans.
Oh my God.
Would you say this guy made a deliberate choice? I think he was making a deliberate choice in his life to stay in that chair.
Whoa.
It's hard to say, because when you go and see those scenes and you see the way some people live, a lot of it has to do with deliberate choices. But I mean, it's hard not to look at some of that and wonder what kind of mental health issues they had.
Yes. So, if you're not dealing with a ton of mental health issues and you start to make some positive deliberate choices in your life, you can really go somewhere in a short amount of time. And when I say a short amount of time, I mean 10 years I would qualify as a short amount of time. That doesn't sound short to people.
Are you kidding me? Yeah.
People think things come overnight or in 1 year, but when you think about even your favorite YouTubers, I mean, they've been building their career for 7-8 years, almost 10, and you just have to realize these things, they don't come at the snap of a finger. Nope. And go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're not willing to put forth extra time, you're not going to get extra out. And if you don't get extra out, you're only just going to be working paycheck to paycheck. And because of the mindset that we are born into, especially in this country, but Western society as a whole, from what I understand, you just don't. You're born to be a worker bee. You're bred to be a slave, and if you don't break out of that, you're going to work until the day you die. And you got to give. There's this big, the big dichotomy between the boomers and the millennials, and all these differences in the generations. But you got to give it to the kids, man. They're onto something. They don't want to work their entire lives away. Is there something really wrong with that? I mean, come on.
No, I agree. I've been reading these articles about how the young people are trying to get out of that treadmill. And I think it's a healthy thing. It's a good thing. And we need to rethink how we're all living. It's a great time for everyone to start doing that. I think there's a collective consciousness thing going on where people are rethinking how they want to structure their lives.
Yeah. So once you got
fear, fear's a powerful driver. And most people aren't entrepreneurs because they're afraid to have to be the one to make the choices and the financial investment and the failure, accept responsibility for the failures. But this whole COVID thing taught some very valuable lessons. It taught them that they can work on their own. They can figure out solutions. They can do something without someone else always being there to tell them what to do. And so,
man, they're
back to work is making they have the ability now to say, no, you know what, I don't want to do that. And so I think it's created more entrepreneurs, which is nice.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. We're going to say, Swede?
I was going to say that, maybe they're onto something, and maybe that's part of me not wanting to grow up, is that I'm trying to inspire the people that are part of my generation that I've been most familiar with. I do have somewhat of a link to the younger generation because I paid a lot of attention to the world through my child's eyes while she was growing up. But that's just a vicarious living, you know. That's not really having their experiences. But, you know, they're onto something. We're trying to inspire people to, be loyal to your grind as far as making your ends meet, but don't be lazy or foolish and think that because this is the grind is all you've done so far, that the options aren't there for you to do more. There's no one that has access to this podcast that cannot get busy living with us, you know. So let's talk about the fun part, JFT. So there you were, you sold your business. I remember you telling me in Scooty Wells that, you know, that you've seen us been able to break out of the rat race, and, you know, you're about to sell and go on a cruise around South America. I mean, what was it like being able to sell and then go? I mean, and what's this life like now? You know, why is it worth it?
It's pretty awesome, bro. I mean, from the very first trip, I took a best buddy of mine, John Carpowedge, and he and I went to Spain. Yeah, we went to Spain for 12 days, just he and I. And he went to high school in Spain. So it was great. We, you know, flew into Barcelona, high speed, or Madrid, high speed train to Barcelona, drove the whole coast south, all the way down to the Rock of Gibraltar, and then back up to the center. That was a great first trip, 12 days. And now I've graduated to the point. Carolina's been with me 5.5 years. And this particular trip is going to be about 5 months. We started at your place, Swede, a couple of weeks ago, Phoenix, for 2 weeks. Then we went to Colombia for a week, and now we've been in Santiago for 8 days. I think 8 days. And tomorrow we head to the beach. You know, we're in downtown San Diego, so we're headed to the beach. We're going to hit 3 or 4 more places in the south. And then we're going to do Quito, Ecuador. And then from Quito, Ecuador, we're going to do Lima, Peru. And I'm going to climb Machu Picchu 3 days. Going to do the hike.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're going to do Uruguay and Argentina. And so we're going to hit, 5 or 6 new countries here. And then we're going to leave here and go to Eastern Europe and do all of Eastern Europe. So we're going to do that.
That sounds positively awful.
Yeah.
So
it
JFT,
went from the first trip of 12 days to now it's going to be like a 7 or 8 month trip.
Amazing. But all bullshit aside, you are still working though. You do a lot to maintain your, what you're building as far as your Turner empire, and not only are you spending the money to travel, man, obviously you've been a huge supporter of the Help Swede Walk Again organization. And I mean, you're not just, there's, I remember when you were telling me about, having the ability to be generous was the biggest dangling carrot for you at some point. So, what's that like? What else are you doing aside from just the glorious part?
Well, I really do like helping other people. And I guess being in the position that I'm in, it allows me to do it a little bit more of a unique way. When I first sold the company, I told all my friends, I said, hey, I want to do something for each of you, whether it's something you need help doing at your house or there's some other person that you want to help, but you don't know exactly how to do it. Let me help. And, we did one wonderful project. Greg Reidinger is a good friend of mine. He's got a great organization. Yeah. And when those floods hit in Mississippi a few years back, I don't know how, 5-6 years ago, he picked a family that he wanted to help, and he had no experience with doing a rebuild on a mobile home. One of our other friends told him it couldn't be done. It was trashed, start from scratch. But the lady had 3 teenage kids, and this home was 2,000 square feet. Had to buy her something else. It was going to be, just a small single wide. So I said, let me go look at this thing, Greg. And I went down there and looked at it and said, you know what? I can absolutely rebuild this for about the same price as buying her a single wide. And so he had faith in me. I knew it was important to him. And so we took about 6 weeks, and his church group and some other volunteers we got, and we just went down there and we just busted it out and built this lady a new house. And I found that I like doing that type of thing more. I like helping, instead of donating money to the Red Cross or the United Way or to whoever, I prefer to pick someone who I know or my friends know, something that they're familiar with. Because I've made bad choices in the past. I'll donate money to somebody and then they blow it on, doing drugs or whatever. And so I decided to start choosing people that I really knew or that, my friends really knew. And I've found that much more satisfying.
Oh, that's really cool. And
you know what I mean?
you get that reward of actually seeing things happen, which is that's wonderful.
It's not that the United Way is bad, but donating them money doesn't do anywhere near the sense of satisfaction of helping someone and their family be able to move back into their house or whatever.
And I think that's really cool because I feel like when people think of success, they think of, I worked really hard and I made a pile of money, but that's not really success. Success comes after I worked really hard, I made a pile of money, and now I'm giving back to the community or to my friends and I'm helping others.
Amen.
Got to have a well-rounded life, I reckon.
Yours sounds amazing.
The fact that this sentiment exists, the fact that people feel the way both of you have just expressed the way you feel that, is why I'm here. I would not be around if there was not for this intrinsic human kindness that we all possess. I realize that all the laws on this planet are here to protect us from each other. Isn't that kind of crazy? You think about it, like we're the biggest risk to humans on this planet is humans, but we're also the biggest help. And the fact that generosity feels so good when you're able to express it to people that, and then you see them really appreciating what you've given them. I just feel like my life is so ironic because the fact that I've felt that way and I've gone out of my way to be generous as often as possible. Like for me, the easiest way to be generous is to over tip, like 20% plus, no matter what. If they fuck up, then don't pay for bad service. But if they're expecting, and believe me, I know a lot of waitresses that know if they know every number, and waiters too, don't mean to be gender unequal, but that know they can look at a check and tell you what 20% is without, they don't even know math. But if that check was $47.80, they know that 20% of that is bam, and they know it. And as soon as they look at that, if it's a smidge under, it was an unsuccessful experience for them. And if it's a little bit more, it's a more successful experience. And they can have their entire nights ruined by having, those types of unsuccessful experiences. So if you know that they're paying that close of attention, I just try to do a little bit more. And I don't know how many times I've been waited on in my life or just doing a little bit more. And am I saving the world? Am I parting any seas? No, but those little tiny gestures, if you can do it when you're tipping, and then you can do it every opportunity you get to just try to lean in the side of generosity. I mean, if my life is not proof that it's worth it, I mean, please, I know you guys probably have good examples too, but generosity, it feels so good to give, man. It really does.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to have to wrap this up here.
Well, before that, I think it's important that we get the message out. I'm not worried about a clock more than I am about the fact that, the generosity angle is important to me. This entire podcast, my entire mission is to express my gratitude for the generosity that's been shown to me and to be able to try to amplify it. You guys that pitched in to save my life, I want to help you get busy living. Those of you that pitched in to save my life, I want to throw you a party. And those of you that are out there that are in a similar circumstance and like I was in, I want to help you because I know how much I appreciated in the moment, the help. There's been times when I couldn't lift my head and I couldn't lift my arms and there was somebody there feeding me. And, from that end of the spectrum all the way to where I am now, where I'm asking for help, but I'm asking for help to help others. Obviously we're going to go on the streak and we're going to get busy living and we're going to have a lot of fun doing this so that we're giving you guys something entertaining to tune into. But the goal is to try to encourage you to let the generosity flow in this direction. And I've got an excellent team here that is helping me, with Jerry's business acumen and knowing how to, take in revenues and operate a successful business and to make profits and to be able to turn those profits into philanthropy like he's done. I feel Jerry is a super valuable confidant in my team, and having D Rex and with the huge heart that she has and all of her talents. And I mean, what can I say about Scooty Wells that he didn't already say to you guys when I was sick? So just so that you know that when you pour into the Get Busy Living Project, this is what you're pouring into here. We've got 4 very strong legs on this table and the family is growing. So by all means, please, guys, go to our website, figure out a way to get busy living with us by getting on our email list. Go to nominations at the hswa.org and start telling us the stories of the people that you know that need help. This is just the preseason, but we are not going to stop. You guys know I'm relentless. We are going to get busy living, and we're going to get other people. Those of you that are in this audience are going to get you getting busy living with us. And that's the hands down deal. That's the number one goal.
Wonderful. I'm so excited about everything we're going to be doing here over the next years. I want to thank you, Jerry, for being here today and telling us your really interesting story. And it was really great to have you back and really get into depth of who you are and what you're up to. So thank you for being here.
JFT, thank you, brother. I love you. I know I'm going to see you soon, if not on FaceTime, maybe on one of these amazing adventures. We were talking last night about what it's going to take to be able to get me into some of these remote places that Jerry's going. And, you know, I'll be honest, it's pretty tough getting around Phoenix, and it's paved everywhere until I got this vehicle, you know. And so, you know, when it's time for us to start, when it's time for me to start traveling, the transportation at the locations, if I don't drive to them, is going to be the biggest challenge. So I'm going to be imploring the Get Busy Living family to help me, you know, figure out ways to overcome it, you know, because when I arrive on the scene, if I didn't drive there, I'm going to need ways to get around, and it's not easy, you know. It's not. That's the biggest challenge, really.
We'll figure it out. And I love
it's all
you
going to
too,
be
brother.
a community effort.
I appreciate y'all's efforts. Diana, I know you're working hard. Thank you very much. You're doing a good job. Swede, I love you. I miss you. And I'll probably see you around that Super Bowl party you're talking about, bro.
That's what I'm talking about. Speaking of which, so that you guys know what's coming up. So tune in next week. We got Kelly coming at you. She's going to talk to you about how she got introduced to me with using the word vegan as a keyword. That's a pretty cool story. Also, guys, please go to hswa.org or go to getbusyliving.com and reserve your copy of the Life and Year of Swedism's book. That's something that we came up with a while back as a way for me to give back to you for your help, and also a way for us to generate revenue so that we can make this whole project work. So the way we're working that deal is for the first 2,000 reservations of a book, you're going to get entered into a raffle. The winner of the raffle is going to go to Alaska on an adventurous Alaska tour with Scooty Wells. And the proceeds from that are going to get you guys on vacation. They're going to get that book into your mailbox, and they're going to get us to be able to get our foot in the door of helping 10 others. And guys, Christmas is coming up. What better way to have a Christmas present than to order a Life and Year of Swedism's book and put it in your stocking on the mantle, right?
Absolutely. Okay, so I want to also thank Strange Tang for the use of their song that we've been using as a theme song, which gets me fired up every single time. Thank you, guys. It's really
shout out Bree, awesome. Shout out Price, guys. This month we're going to Hollywood for Halloween, so stay tuned in the next coming week. We're going to tell you some more details about that. But before we go, guys, please always remember, no matter the weather, whether sunshine or rain, there's no joy without pain. Always remember, we're all in this together. Can I get a hell yeah?
Hell
yeah.
All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next week.
You can see it when you see me, but you gotta believe me. Ain't nothing coming easy my way. No, I fucking work, but it's fucking work. You can see it when you see me, but you gotta believe me. Ain't nothing coming easy my way.
That was it.
Still broadcasting. What up?